Here we are. Happy Wednesday. It is mat morning for our little Zoom group here. So go ahead and gather your things for mat work. You obviously want a place you can lie down on the floor, maybe some hand weights, maybe a ball or a block to put between your knees or ankles for inner thigh activation. And it could be you want to have a flex band too, right? I can't promise we'll use each and every one of these pieces of equipment, but it's nice to have them available. All right. And once you've gotten all of those, go ahead and lie down on your back. You can stretch out long if you like, or you can have your knees bent if that's more comfortable. We do our initial breathing and just as a way to become centered in our relationship with our body and our relationship with our breath. So tracking the breath is a really great tool to that end. We inhale through the nose and exhale through the mouth, maybe lightly rounding the lips like you're about to whistle or blow out a candle. If you find that rounding the lips like that puts some tension in the jaw, then just maybe place the tip of your tongue against the back of your top teeth and exhale that way. Great. So I guess the takeaway is don't let the breathing introduce stress into the body. It should be a really comfortable thing to do. Feel the regular flow of the breath, the inhales washing in and moving down toward the base of the spine. And the exhales rolling back out, lifting up through the crown. It could be that it's easiest to feel this in the front surface of the body because you're lying on your back and the front is exposed to the air. But do make sure that ultimately you can feel the breath in a three-dimensional way. So as the inhale draws down toward the base of the spine, you feel it in the side of the ribs, you feel it in the back of your body. And then that exhale introduces a three-dimensional relaxation through your length. We have just a couple more here, really for the purpose of bringing our focus into our workout. Over the last round of breath, if your legs are straight, go ahead and bend your knees. When you bend the knees, have one more breath in and out. And if you find that the ball between the knees or inner thighs is a useful prop for you, put it in place. We'll begin some imprint and release here. One more breath out. And then at the bottom of that breath out, lightly contract pelvic floor. Hold on to that awareness as you inhale downward toward the base of the spine. Then squeeze the ball with your inner thighs. And as you exhale, make your imprint, drawing your low back flatter and longer, dropping it toward the ground. It might touch, it might not. Then Kegel and inhale. Release your imprint. Allow the low spine to resume its natural shape for your body. We squeeze the ball and begin the exhale and imprint once more. When the breath is complete, make sure you have your Kegel and inhale as you release to a neutral low spine. We do this 3 or 4 more times with the same breath patterning. And you become aware not only of the contraction of the abs that create the imprint and the lengthening of that contraction that allows the return to neutral, but you feel the integration as well of the lower spine into the pelvis, allowing the pelvis to roll through the axis of the hips, through the inner thigh line as you create this spinal movement. Let's do one more round, please. Good. Once you've returned to neutral, put the ball or block off to the side. And then go ahead and stretch one leg down the mat. We're preparing for hip release. We're still in a neutral. We've got the single leg long. And on the inhale breath, drop the bent knee inward across the midline and slide the leg downward, stretching it. On the exhale, Roll the leg outward from the hip and bend the knee, pulling the heel up. So it's a little stirring around of the thigh bone in the hip joint. You might even visualize the shape of the hip joint, that roughly round or cup-shaped structure. And then the top of the thigh bone, again, rounded. One more repetition, please. And when you've completed your last one, continue into 4 in the other direction. Same leg. Kegel and inhale, bent knee drops to the side, the leg slides long. Exhale, roll inward toward the inner thigh line and pull the heel up. Not only visualizing that roundness of the hip, that circular motion, but beginning to feel it in the motion of your leg and the stability of your pelvis. 2 more, please. When you completed your last one, you just stretch your legs long. No need to rush. But we spend just a breath cycle with the legs stretched long. And in essence, what would be a standing up posture, only we're lying down on our backs. When you've had a chance to catch your breath here, then bend the other knee and we prepare to do the other side. Neutral posture, check that out. Kegel and inhale, drop the bent knee inward and stretch the leg down the midline. As you exhale, roll outward and begin to bend the knee, pulling the heel right up under the inner thigh line. And we do approximately 4. You're probably keeping your own count. Circular movement in the hip, helping to sort of warm and stimulate the muscles, pulling circulation down into that part of the joint area, activating the muscles. And when you've done your last one, reverse, please. On the inhale, the knee drops to the side, the leg stretches. And you notice on your exhale, roll inward, pull your heel up. Good. Nice and easy in the chest and the shoulders. Don't attempt to stabilize your spine with your neck muscles. When you've done your last one, again, stretch the legs long. And in that long stretched position that simulates standing, have a breath in and a breath out. Roll over onto one side in preparation for spinal rotation. We will be in a side lying position with the knees bent and the hips and the shoulders stacked. So essentially the same neutral, but rotated to one side. Instead of beginning with spinal rotation here, however, you probably want to put a little extra layer of mat or blanket under your bottom ear. We're going to be doing a clamshell action with the top leg. The feet are going to remain together. And I'd like you to stay here in your preparatory position and exhale. As you Kegel, inhale and lift the top knee off the bottom knee, rotating in the hip. And then as you exhale, lower the knee and press lightly the inner thighs together as you release the outer hips. Do that 2 more times, kegling and inhaling, lifting the leg up, but not turning the spine or shifting the pelvis. And then exhaling and squeezing inner thighs together, selectively inner thighs, not outer hips or low back. Final time. Now, keep the legs, the hips where they are. And as you inhale, turn the head upwards. You can lift the arm. Squeeze the knees, exhale, and twist. Feel that rotation rippling downward from the crown to the lower part of the waist. Hold here, kegling as you anchor your inhale. And then selectively through inner thighs, squeeze there as you exhale and return from twist. 2 more. So only 3 repetitions this morning. Take your time with each one. Find the details of the movement, the feeling for the breath. Feel the sequential nature of this rotation as it generates downward from the top. And then as you return from rotation, feel the squaring from your center upward through your crown. When you've done your last one, roll to your second side. And so you might have already intuited that the little clamshell motion is less about rotation and more about how you're stabilizing the lower body. So we'll do that same prep on the second side, obviously, acknowledging that's what our goal is. When you're all set up, you're all stacked up in space. Then Kegel and inhale, lift the top knee off the bottom one. And then as you exhale, lower the top knee and squeeze for a moment, the two inner thighs together, releasing low back, outer hips and thighs. We do this 3 times. Feel that you can stabilize lower body, activate your core, all without tightening or tensing the spine. Not the low back, but not the shoulders or neck either. Not the shoulder blades. Once you've lowered that top knee the last time, then as you Kegel and inhale, turn the gaze upward and lift the top arm. As you exhale, you know what to do. You open into twist, squeezing inner thighs, stabilizing lower body without stress. Hold the open position, inhaling in place, and then return on the exhale. Continue through 2 more repetitions. Good. Try to complete each breath, each inhale and each exhale. Sometimes in twist, that can be a little challenging. So don't let the effort or the motion of twisting restrict the flow of breath. Good. We'll come to hands and knees next, and you finish your set. I am watching the monitor to see when everybody is in place. We're moving toward our cat stretch, so articulating not only the pelvis, but the shoulder girdle as we move the spine. Feel that the knees and the hands are in a steady place. Shift a little forward and back over them, and then settle or center your weight there. Make a neutral posture in the body. Feel that the front and the back are equally long, as are the sides of the waist. And then with the gaze forward between the fingertips, Kegel and inhale. Feel the roof of your mouth sliding back. As you exhale, begin to round the spine, rolling the pelvis through the hips as you flex through each vertebra. Feel that movement up through the rib cage, up through the shoulders, drop the head. Kegel, inhale, hold the stretched curve. And then exhale, return, starting with the pelvis, the low spine, rippling upward. On your inhale, spread the collarbones apart and extend the top of your chest forward and upward. Release that and continue through 2 more rounds. Exhaling to curve and feel the movement through each vertebral joint. Unshrug as you inhale. Exhale to return from curve, reestablishing neutral and core support that you carry into your extension on the inhale breath. Let that go and do 1 more. Release the neck from the shoulders. Beautiful. And then sit back for a moment, and we'll, just before we return to the floor, just make fists and spin your wrists around a little bit. And go the other way as well. That was our first real weight bearing on the hands. And then spread the palms and squeeze them. Spread and squeeze. Finally, shake out your fingers, your hands, and lie down on your back, please. Hip rolls are next, so a ball or block between the knees or the ankles, if you have a prop that's useful. And minimal head mat, right? So begin to feel the rhythm for the sequencing of these exercises. We're in our neutral. We have our feet planted, the knees are bent, and the feet are relatively close to the back of the hips. Not so close that your low back is flat, but close enough that you can profitably use your legs. We inhale here, holding on to pelvic floor as we draw the breath down. Begin to squeeze the ball if you're using it, and on your exhale, start to roll up, aware of the pelvis rolling through the inner thighs, not necessarily pausing an imprint, but feeling that continuous flexion of the spine up until you get to the top. Kegel, inhale here in neutral, and then exhale, roll it back down. Ribs rolling through the shoulders, the spine landing sequentially, pelvis rolling through the hips, and bingo, you're in neutral on the ground. Please do 2 more. Now, I've spoken mostly about the action of the spine, the pelvis and the shoulders, but the legs are no small thing here. Whether you're rolling up or rolling down, make sure that you have good grounding through the bottoms of the feet. The heels are centered. You're not lifting any of your toes, and you're pressing directly down, perpendicular to the ground, vertically through the bottom of the feet. Your glutes and your hamstrings are exerting that effort. And when you've rolled down for the last time, you can stretch your legs for a moment if you like. We will return to a bent knee position though as we continue our warm up. As we transition into the next part of the warm up, it's a good time to locate your weights if you like to use them for any of our shoulder work. Move your legs around a little bit, point and flex your feet, and then when your legs have recovered, rebend your knees and extend your arms forward to the ceiling. We're going to move the shoulder blades or the shoulder girdle, so you know that the collarbones and the shoulder blades glide together in any given direction, ideally. When you inhale, separate the shoulder blades, moving them forward along the back of the ribs, and the collarbones move forward as well. The outer edge is tipping forward. Now exhale, pull the shoulder blades together, gliding them back relative to the rib cage, and feel the collarbones gliding back or widening as well. We inhale, and the shoulder assembly moves forward or toward the front of the ribs. And then exhale and move the shoulders toward the back of the ribs. I got a fair amount of mobility here. Do that 2 more times, or a total of 4. Use this as a proprioceptive exercise too, to feel the contour of the ribs, to be aware when you're in that centered spot. Once you're there, nice and centered and neutral in the shoulders, on an exhale breath, reach the arms back. This morning, we're going to hold the reach and Kegel and inhale, challenging ourselves not to tighten or use the muscles of the throat. And then on the exhale, return. Stay here, Kegeling and inhale. Use the respiratory diaphragm, pelvic floor muscles. And then as you exhale and reach back, feel the diaphragm relaxing, the abdominal muscles and the core securing the posture as the arms go back. Stay here, stretching long, and draw the inhale downward. You return on your exhale. And do 2 more repetitions, please. The whole while keeping the shoulder blades centered relative to the front and the back of the rib cage, but allowing a little bit of movement as the arms change their angle in the shoulders. So the outer edges of your collarbones will tip up as the arms reach back and tip back down as the arms return. Lower your arms to your sides when you've completed your last one and rest them on the mat and get your weights out of the way. We have 2 more exercises in our warm-up series. The next one is head nods. So while we keep the weight of the head resting into the floor, we also inhale and bring the chin downward, lengthening the back of the neck. nodding the head. As you exhale, release the nod. And do this 4 more times. Be gentle. This is entirely analogous to imprint and release through the lower spine. When you nod, you're using the muscles in the throat to gently draw the chin down and flex the cervical spine. And when you release that flexion, that nod, you're not activating the back of your neck, you're simply lengthening the front of your throat. It sounds like the same thing, but it's not. Do 1 more, please. When you've returned the head to neutral, we have 1 more warm-up motion to do, and it's in the shoulders again. Envision the shoulder assembly, the collarbones, the shoulder blades, the rib cage. And on the next inhale breath, we bring the shoulders up, front and back. On the exhale breath, we draw the shoulders down. Do that 4 more times. Shoulders have a tremendous amount of mobility. Up and down, bringing blood flow and warmth to the muscles that control this action. Maybe introducing a little bit more elasticity or flexibility in those muscles as we also orient our shoulders. Do your last one. And then finally, we dive into our workout, part of the workout. So ab prep is next. You can continue to have the arms by your sides for forward bending, or if your head needs a little extra support, put your fingertips behind your ears. The low spine stays neutral. This is all about flexion through the upper spine and how our core support relates to that. When you're ready to go, we kegel and inhale, tilt the chin downward. On your exhale breath, feel the diaphragm releasing so you can bend through the bottom of the ribs and start that bend. The head remains nodded as the chest lifts forward, the upper back leaving the mat. At the top of your motion, inhale, begin your exhale, and don't lower until you can feel that ease in the diaphragm internally through the ribs. And then slowly stretch the ribs and shoulders and head back down. Once the head is on the mat, release the nod. Continue nodding on your inhale and bending forward on your exhale breath. Have an honest inhale at the top. Don't let it get stuck in your neck or shoulders. And then exhale, lower it down, releasing breath completely. Please do 4 more. And of course, regardless of the position of your arms, whether you're reaching them long or have hands behind the head, you're feeling that the action of the shoulders coordinates with that dynamic position of the ribs, right? So if the ribs are bending forward, the shoulders go with you. You're lowering back down. Of course, the shoulders adjust to remain neutral on the spine. Not lifting toward the neck or pressing toward the hips. Good. And always neutral low spine. And you've done your last one. Stretch your legs out long, and I'll be looking for that in my own monitor here. With the legs stretched long, we are going to more formally point and stretch the feet and then swish them side to side. So a little bit of movement through the feet and a little bit of movement in the hips. We start with the flexion of the feet, dorsiflexion, inhaling to pull the toes backward and reach through the heels, reach behind the knees. And then as you exhale, point the feet, plantar flexion, actually, they're both flexion. As you inhale, pull the toes back. And as you exhale, point the toes away. And you do that on your own breath tempo 2 or 3 more times. You'll get a little bit of shifting up and down, a little bit of rocking through the position of the body. I like you to end with the feet flexed or the toes upright. And we switch the feet to the right and the left. So toes either rolling to the left or rolling to the right or vice versa, but in the same sense, right? And then eventually take that into circles. So both feet may be circling clockwise or counterclockwise. But again, the feet track synchronously with each other. Go the other way if you haven't yet. And then relax your feet. And roll over onto your belly, preparing for our extension series. We'll start with breaststroke prep number 1 once we're on our bellies. So we'll have our elbows bent, forearms parallel to each other, hands on the mat up near the shoulders, a little higher, a little wider probably. Orient the pelvis first. So using your ab muscles and relaxing your hips, we want to bring the pubic bones into comfortable contact with the ground. And then stretch the legs out long below. Lengthening behind the knees, point your toes. And on your exhale, draw your inner thighs close, relaxing outer hips and low back. Kegel and inhale, preparing for spinal extension. And then on your exhale, open through the shoulders. Begin to extend the upper spine, the ribs lifting and opening as the spine extends, coming up to maybe the bottom rib of the rib cage. Hold here and inhale. Begin your exhale in place, stretching the legs longer, and then lower slowly. 2 more times. On the floor, prepare with an inhale, opening, becoming aware of upper body, upper spine, and then stretch those legs, inner thighs, exhale, again, extend. The crown lengthening, the inside of the upper spine opening and stretching. You hold that stretch and inhale, and exhale to lower to ground. On your own timing, continue through the last repetition. Get a real feeling for length without introducing tension into the stretch. Yeah. Good. And once you return to ground, bring your arms down along your sides. Breaststroke prep number 2. We'll do 3 of these as well. Here, allow the shoulders to flop forward. All right, so we're starting in this sort of unbalanced position so that the balancing is part of the exercise. Firm and stretch the legs. And on the inhale breath, begin to align the shoulders and reach the arms along your sides, palms facing inward as the hands lift from the ground. Kegel, exhale, stretch into your lift. The chest rising up into a hover, the feet stay on the ground. Hold and inhale, long through the back of the neck. Exhale and return. Allow the shoulders to release forward. On the inhale, as you Kegel, consciously place the shoulders, aligning the arms, opening the chest. And as you stretch the legs on exhale, engage the inner thighs, reach through the top of the chest, crown of the head, and lift from the mat a couple of inches. Use the middle back muscles to lift and support that position. And then exhale, feel them gently releasing to lower you slowly to ground. 1 more repetition of this version. Good. Beautiful. Hands under the forehead. We will do 2 repetitions of breaststroke prep number 3. Essentially, it's the same as the one you just did in terms of spinal position, but with the additional challenge of the shoulders being at an extended angle. So the hands can stay on the ground or they can come up with you. The preparation is the same. Inhale, become aware of the shoulders, the positioning of the head. Exhale, feel the stretch of the legs and begin to lift the chest using the middle back muscles as you project the head forward and up. Hold, breathe in, an honest inhale as you Kegel, and then exhale and slowly lower. Feel the work of the middle back subsiding, but the work of the core persisting. Kegel and inhale. Exhale, stretch into extension. Have your breath in. And then exhale, lower it back down. Sit back into shell stretch when you've finished, please. And have some breaths in and out, directing them to areas of tightness or soreness. You can put little movements into the shoulders with the head. You can shift around a little side to side if that feels good. Mm-hmm. One more inhale where you are. And exhale, roll up. All right, you guys, we're going to lie on our back one more time and do the 100. Right? I'm not going to try and disguise it or candy coat it. So we'll do some tabletop work, and you might want to have your flex band handy. If you don't have a flex band, no worries. You can do this entirely without the flex band. We are going to all work in an imprint and all work in tabletop. But aside from that, you have a lot of options for modification. So once you're lying on your back, bend your knees, establish or allow a neutral posture in the spine, and have a breath in and out. Eyes open, but your focus very gentle. The next time you exhale, make your imprint. We are both lengthening and flexing the lower spine. In your imprint, before lifting your legs, I want you to feel the true weight of the bones in your spine dropping back toward the mat. So don't try and hold them in a position with tension through the back. Allow them to rest back and hold in place with connection in the abs. Then on the next exhale, bring a leg to tabletop, staging through the foot as you point the toes, and then finally lift. Do the same for the second foot. With the knees up, you can even support with your hands if you need to. I want you to use the inner thighs to really secure the connection between the two halves of the body, essentially, and to point the toes, establishing the end of your kinetic line. Now, holding that position, keeping your imprint throughout, you might want your flex band or you might not. We're actually going to reach the arms back and forth again. And instead of using weights, we'll have a little tensioning through the band, or none at all if you elect not to use it. We'll take a breath here. And then on the exhale, as you firm the inner thigh connection in the lower abs, reach the arms slowly back, releasing enough into the shoulders that they can rotate without destabilizing. Inhale here, and then exhale and return. 2 more. Inhale, and then squeeze thighs, and exhale, reach back. Hold for your breath in. Return on the next exhale, gliding the arms and the shoulders. 1 more, please. Reaching back on the exhale. Breath, stabilizing and reaching long through the low spine, the ribs, the pelvis. This time, as you return, I want you to bring the arms far enough forward that if you're using a flex band, you can have it over the shins below the knees. And if you're not using a flex band, just bring your arms to your sides. 3 times here. We'll inhale and then exhale and widen the chest and press the arms back, feeling muscles in the inside of the back of your shoulder blade and armpit. Inhale, release a little bit, but don't lift the arms off the flex band off the shins. Exhale, pull the arms back, widening the shoulder girdle in front. Inhale, release a little bit. And on that final exhale, you're squeezing your thighs. You're feeling co-contraction in the lower abs, connection in the back of the shoulders. Press down. Inhale and release. Now you can relax your legs for a moment if you like, dropping them towards your chest. The 100 is where we're going directly after this. When you're ready for that, we put the legs back into tabletop, keeping imprint, pressing the knees together, pointing the toes. And then with your flex band, if you're using it, Arms stretched long by your side if you're not. If you're going to bend forward through the upper body, inhale and nod. And as you exhale, bend forward. Feel activity in the back of the shoulders. Begin your set of the 100 here, pulsing the arms 5 times as you inhale in 5 increments, and pulsing the arms 5 times as you exhale. Yeah. Now this can be done with the head on the ground for the whole darn exercise. Right? This can be done with the feet on the ground and no flex band. Really focusing on the breath. Good. Feel this as a breath exercise, activating the core muscles, pelvic floor muscles. And when you've done your last set, you inhale smoothly, opening the chest and pulling the arms back, holding for just a moment. On your exhale, squeeze the knees, lower your head to the ground if it's lifted, and then release the work of the arms. Flex band off to the side, exhale, lower one foot to the ground. And then the other. When both feet are down, return to neutral. All right, with feet on the ground, widen them to like the outer distance of your hips. And we let the knees drop both off to the left or to the right. But again, both knees going in the same direction. And then off to the other side. We're keeping tone in pelvic floor as we do this. We're not striving to destabilize the pelvis and rotate the halves against the sacrum, but to get a little rotation in the hip joints and feel a slight rocking side to side over the back of the pelvis. And then return to center and extend the arms forward to the ceiling. Feet are on the ground and pelvis is neutral. We do our little hand over hand rope pull. So imagining that heavy rope suspended above you, reach for it, hand over hand, allow a little bit of rolling side to side over the back of the ribs and the shoulders. And as you pull that imaginary rope down and back, widen and open the front of the shoulders, top of the chest. Soften the neck. You can even let your mouth hang open. Right? No one's going to see you. You just let your jaws relax. One more through each side. And then let your arms fall down by your sides. Roll off to one side or the other and come up to sitting. All righty. So we're going to do a little bit of spinal twist here. So that means you can sit as high as you need to sit. I know I'm on a little yoga cushion myself. Have your legs out in front of you. So if you happen to be sitting in a chair, it just means your feet are on the ground. Your legs are still parallel and in front of you. And consider using a ball either between the knees, especially if you're sitting in a chair, or between the ankles. Alrighty, so 2 options for the arms. We can have hands hand over hand in the center of the chest. I kind of like that variation if my neck or shoulders are troublesome. Or if you're feeling pretty steady and comfortably supported through the shoulders, extend the arms to the side. We are going to do our 3 exhale twists. So we'll divide up the exhale into 3 segments. Reaching long and tall through the vertical spine. We begin by exhaling and squeezing the ball and turning just a little bit from the bottom of the waist. Exhale again and turn a little bit more. Exhale the final time and complete the rotation, keeping the head and the shoulders square with each other. And then kegel and inhale, release. Other side. Squeeze the ball, exhale, twist a little bit. Feel the low belly muscles waking up. Exhale, twist a little bit more up through the middle of the waist, the navel, the bottom of the ribs. And then exhale, complete the twist, the head and the shoulders still square relative to each other. And inhale, return center. Continue twice more across the sides. With each exhale, feel a release upward and downward into length. So the hips remain grounded and you get that float through the crown of the head as you connect through the ends of your spine. Beautiful. Last repetition for each of us. Mm-hmm. When you've finished this particular exercise, just lower your arms. Before moving back to the ground, we're going to do another seated movement. And I'm going to give you the side view. Ooh, there we go. My cushion was a little tilted. So we're going to do a forward bend. You can stay right where you are. I just shifted so you can see what my spine is doing. I'm going to suggest you use your hand or your fist, or maybe both fists, as a means of supporting the neck and the head once you've tilted it. Right. So I'm going to use my single hand here. And on the inhale breath, tilt the chin downward. On the exhale breath, just like an ab crab, you're going to begin to nod the chest and the shoulders forward, not hiking the shoulders towards your ears, bending through the spine until about the level of the bottom ribs. Inhale here, and then exhale and feel the breath streaming upward from the pelvis through the crown, lifting and aligning the spine until your head is stacked back up on top of your hips. Inhale, nod the chin downward. And exhale, bend forward. Try not to strain with the shoulders. Simply allow them to cooperate with the spinal flexion as the ribs do. At the bottom, inhale. And then exhale and return. Good. Drop your hand down. And lie on your backs, please. And you'll want your ball or block probably. And the ball or the block in this case, of course, for inner thigh awareness, but also for spacing of the hips. All right, so we want to keep a little bit of spacing through the hips so we can have mobility in that joint instead of congestion. We're lying on our backs. And as ever, once you're there, have a breath in and out. Inhale in preparation. Exhale and make your imprint. When you have your imprint, then exhale and lift one foot at a time, staging it through the point of the toes, the activation of the lower legs. Second leg the same. And then using the ball or block between the knees. Make that more or less perfect for you, tabletop position. Hands behind the head. We're going to do some ab prep forward, just 4 of them. Nodding with the inhale. And then exhaling and bending forward. Kegel and inhale at the top. Squeeze the ball, activating the feet, and exhale, lower down. Repeat twice more. Inhale, nod, and exhale, bend forward. Have your breath in. Exhale and lower. And last repetition. Nod. Exhale, bend forward. Now from here, we're going to do a double leg stretch. So if you'd like, you can lower your head down, that's fine, or you can maintain the flexed forward position. Get to where you need to be to work, and then prepare for a double leg stretch, kegling and inhaling. As you exhale, squeeze the ball and stretch the legs through the inner line of the hips and the thighs. Hold the stretch, kegel, and inhale. And then squeeze the ball, exhale, bend the knees. Take a breath 2 more times. Squeeze, exhale. Extend legs. Hold, inhale. Exhale, squeeze, and bend the knees. 1 more. Take a breath. And exhale, bend the knees. If your head is lifted, exhale, lower it as well. Put the ball off to the side for a moment. And lower 1 foot at a time to the mat. Good. When the feet are on the ground, you can, again, use the ball or not. We're going to bend forward and do some twisting. So add some twist through the spine to this ab prep. And try and keep that feeling for length in the hips, right? Even though we're now in a neutral spine or neutral low spine. Hands behind the head. Kegel, inhale, nod the chin downward. Squeeze the ball, deactivate the lower back, stabilize the pelvis, and bend forward. Here the chest bends forward, right? The bottom of the ribs bend. Holding this, on the next exhale, twist to one side through the waist. Kegel, inhale, return through center. A long, smooth exhale, twisting to the other side. Inhale through center. Continue across the sides 2 more times. So a total of 3 twists in each direction. Remember not to press the head forward and mistake that for upper spine flexion, right? The chest needs to bend forward. The ribs need to bend forward. We got it. When you've returned from your last one, then use an exhale to lower your head to the ground. If you have a significant layer of head mat under your head, get it out to the side. We retain our entirely neutral spine, more or less. We have a little bit of flexion at the neck, and go into shoulder bridge prep. So if you've got the ball or block between the knees, it's in the perfect place. We want to really plant and be aware of the foot position. And then on your exhale, as you squeeze the ball, lift the hips up. It's like a push-up that you do with your legs. Nice stretch for the quads. Should feel like a good opener for the front of the hips. Inhale here. And exhale, lower down. Keep the front of the hips, the hip flexors soft as you let gravity and the weight of your pelvis resettle into starting position. Inhale, use your Kegel. Squeeze the ball and exhale, press down through your feet. And again, it's the back of your hips and thighs that are exerting that effort, that work through the bottom of the feet into ground. Inhale, good stretch, and exhale, lower. 2 more times, please. Preparing, and then lifting, having a breath, and lowering. And last time, good, you guys. Good. Okay. Put the ball up to the side, stretch your legs if you like. Sometimes that'll get the hamstrings a little bit. So do what you need to do to find some ease there. And then we're going to roll onto our side. If you, and I'll give you a visual for this as well. If you have a block or a ball, you're going to want that. Just realized my screen is a little high. We're going to be in our side lying position. Bottom leg stretched out below us. Yeah. Top leg maybe supported by the block or the ball, or even a layer of towel or blanket. Forward, so we're out of the way of the bottom leg. Right. So once you've gotten that, I'm going to realign myself so I'm not tipping forward or flexing at the neck. Pull the bottom leg back to complete the line, the neutral line through the body, from the bottom of the foot to the crown of the head. And then on your exhale, you're going to lightly activate bottom inner thigh and lift the leg up. Inhale and slowly lower. Exhale, inner thighs active, lifting bottom leg up without moving the spine or rolling the hips, the pelvis specifically. Inhale and lower. Continue here, lifting that bottom leg up, lowering it down. 2 more times, please. Good. When you've lowered that last time, put the ball off to the side and bring both legs together underneath you. We're going to be lifting both legs up rather than just the bottom leg, and you're going to feel the same kind of action in the bottom leg and in both inner thighs. Stretch those legs long, completing the neutral line. Maybe fingertips lightly on the ground in front of you. No rolling or shifting on the hips. We exhale, stretch the legs and lift them up, reaching them long. Spine still aligned. Take a breath. And exhale, lower. Prepare at the bottom with your inhale. So a little bit different breath patterning. Exhale, stretch the legs, using the inner thighs, lift and reach. Holding steady through the spine, kegling, able to take a full inhale, and then exhale to lower. Only 2 more of these. Moving only on the exhale, feel the transference of the weight of the legs into the muscles of your core, not into your low back and not into your neck or shoulders. Final repetition. Beautiful work, you guys. Yes. Yes. And then when you're ready, bring your ball with you, roll and face the other direction. Same 2 exercises, so no funny business, nothing that should be too tricky. We set it up so our top knee is bent in the first version. We've got it supported maybe by a ball or a block. Bottom leg is straight and the spine is neutral. So once you've gotten into side lying, make sure you're not gazing down at your navel, right? Or hunching the shoulders, but you're really aligned, the carriage you want to have later when you walk around. Point the bottom leg, kegel and inhale in preparation. And then as you exhale, activate inner thighs, lifting the bottom one up, keeping the knee straight, the foot long and pointed. For this one, we lower the leg on the inhale breath, keeping tone in pelvic floor and allowing movement, thigh and the hip. Total of 5. We exhale, activate inner thighs and lift the bottom leg. Stretch it long and try not to unbalance the position of the tailbone. Inhale and lower. Continue through the final repetitions in the set. 5 is the magic number. Feeling what's going on in this bottom leg, this hip, this inner thigh line. but also in the support of the knees. So medial quads matter here. And when you've done your final one, your fifth one, you'll stretch your legs long. So the hand might need to be on the floor for this one if it wasn't before. The focus is on balancing the spine, on mobilizing the legs through the hips. We inhale and reach long from the crown of the head to the tips of the toes. And then squeezing inner thighs, activating there. We exhale, stretch and lift the legs. Spine, pelvis stays right where it is. The legs rise up. We hold and inhale. Exhale and lower. We do only 4 of these, so we make sure we get the most of each repetition. Using the breath as we exhale and lift, proprioceptively aware of the posture, the positioning of our spine. Lowering, lateral movement of the thigh bones in the hip joints, last 2. Firm through the sides of the waist. Yes. And when you've done your last one, I'll know, because you'll come to hands and knees. Almost done, you guys. Hang in there. Find your ball or block if you're using it and put it between the knees. We're going to do knee hover. So very much like push-ups. And in fact, if you prefer to substitute a plank while we're doing knee hover, you're welcome to take that modification. So lift my screen up a little bit. Ball or block between the knees. And maybe some padding for the wrists. Right. Mine are a little sore. All that gardening, all that yard work. All right. Toes are tucked. And unless you're doing plank, right, you can do this little orientation exercise forward and back. All right, we will do 4 repetitions. If you're doing plank, go ahead and stretch the feet back and come into your position. We'll inhale, and then on the exhale, as you squeeze the ball, press down through the toes, stabilize the shoulders, and lift the knees. We hold the hover for an inhale, kegling, of course, and then squeezing the ball, exhale, lower, trying not to hunch or press the shoulders forward. 3 more, prepare. Squeeze the ball, exhale, and lift the knees. Plankers, keep breathing. Hold and inhale, release across the chest, the neck into openness and length. Exhale and lower. 2 more. Exhale and lift. Use the power of your legs with your core. Don't just rely on the shoulders. And exhale, lower. They're stable, but they're not uncomfortable. 1 more. Exhale, lift the knees. Beautiful planks, you guys. Take a breath. Exhale and lower. Nice. When you're down, and you plankers come down whenever you like, sit back into shell stretch 1 more time. And just breathe here. Let the breath slow down, the heart rate slow down. Your brain slow down. And then walk your hands over to the right. Keep your hips square. Let your forehead drop toward the ground. If it doesn't touch, don't strain to do that. And then exhale and walk your hands over to the other side. Walk your hands to center. And then push the ground away as you roll your spine up. So you are pushing through the ground. You're stacking your spine. You sit for a moment, eyes open, gaze in front of you, but relaxed through your focus. 3 rounds of breath. And you can stand to do this if it's more comfortable for your hips or legs. We inhale. And exhale. 2 more times, breathing in this 3-dimensional way into our backs, our sides, as well as our fronts. And exhaling with an upward lift of energy as well as breath, taking compression out of the spine. Inhale, feel your rootedness, your connection with ground. One final exhale. And we're done this morning, you guys. Thanks for dropping in. I'll turn off the video now. Good class, everyone.